So she plays an imaginary violin that you can't hear, by the way. She is sadistic, a troublemaker, and a beauty doing all of it. Yeah, it sounds like Kafka's hitting your line. Hello people of the internet, welcome to my quick and complete guide to Kafka, well, the free-to-play version, with some honorary mentions. We'll be covering her kit, teams, relics, and preferred stats you'll be wanting for the Dot Queen herself, so yeah, let's get started. So regarding her kit, Kafka is a lightning unit following the path of nihility, and being the centerpiece for damage over time units. Well, let's just call them dots for short. On the screen, there are elements that are considered dot elements. There's flame, which consider burn, wind that does wind shear and shred, lightning that is shock, and physical that applies bleed. We do not consider quantum to be a dot just because it involves entanglement, which only just delays a turn, and imaginary just does imprisonment, which only delays and slows enemies. Kafka's key role is detonating already applied dots on the enemy on the additional time with way bigger multipliers than the initial dot damage that's going to happen on the enemy's turn, which makes her not only a broken unit entirely, but also future-proof for dot units in the future. Going over her abilities, her skill, Caressing Moonlight, allows Kafka to not only apply her own shock to enemies hit, but the targets that currently have dot will immediately detonate a certain percentage of already placed damage. Basically, her skill doesn't replace existing dots, so they'll still detonate normally once the enemy take their turns. Regarding her ultimate, Twilight Trail, dealing lightning damage to every enemy on the field with a good chance of being shocked, and immediately taking the current shock damage after the initial attack. The enemies also stay in the shock state for about 2 turns. Her talent, Gentle but Cruel, allows Kafka to do a follow-up attack after an ally does a basic attack, which you'll be doing way more times than you think. The initial attack will apply the same shock value as her ultimate towards the enemy for 2 turns. Onto relics and preferred stats. The preferred stats, you want effect hit rate for E0 at 11% because her traces give an additional 18% already, and you want to hit that smooth 29% that you should easily get with either 1 relic piece or 3 relic substats, just because of her base chance of proccing other dots to maximize your damage output. Another factor you want for her is speed. You want as much speed as possible so you can hit that sweet spot of 134, but I will advise people to make your other dots units a little faster than Kafka, just because you want to apply as much dots as possible on the enemy before Kafka's turn so she can immediately detonate all the follow-ups. So if Kafka is at 134 speed, Sampo or Luka should be at 135 speed, for example. Once you meet the requirements for speed and effect hit rate, you want as much attack percentage as possible, 3k at best, which is a viable spot for Kafka, but most shoot up to 4k at base. For your relic pieces, I suggest head and hand pieces. You want substats of attack percentage, speed, and effect hit rate. Your body, you want to go attack percent main stat with substats of speed or effect hit rate. For your feet, always prioritize speed main stat. If you already meet the speed requirements of 134 from your substats from other relics, you can go with an attack percentage feat to further damage output. For your orb, lightning damage for your main stat, and your rope, only attack percentage with substats mentioned above. So for relic options, 4-piece Sizzling Thunder is a very good option. Then you have your 2-piece Musketeer and 2-piece Sizzling will be good for her as well. Just a little lack in the damage department behind 4-piece Thunder. And another option for those who are unlucky with the speed stats, you can also do 2-piece Thunder and 2-piece Speed for the extra 6 for Kafka. For the orb set, I suggest Space Sealing Station for the additional attack percentage, since you can easily proc the passive of 120 with Kafka alone. Let's talk about Lightcones. Lightcones that most free-to-play can get, which is valuable for Kafka, is Fermata, which you can farm this and easily superimpose this to stage 5 through Forgotten Hall or Memory of Chaos, and it has decent attack and passive stats as well. Honorary gotcha mentions on the screen right now, you have Good Night Sleep Well being number 1 at superimpose 5 compared to her signature Lightcone for the extra dot multipliers and the damage percentage. Even at S1 to S3 is a very good amount of damage over the most options like Fermata. Eyes of Prey being number 2 behind for effect hit rate and dot damage as well. I would rather put this on Sampo more than Kafka though. And lastly, In the Name of the World being number 3, mostly there for the attack buffs, but is not better than the other ones mentioned before. Lastly, going into team building, Kafka will always want a dot member on her team along with her, so keep that in mind for the future. For optimal coverage, you would want a DPS, sub DPS, a debuffer/buffer, And lastly, sustainability, preferably a healer or a shield. On the screen, you got Kafka, Sampo, or Luka, Pela, and Nat, or you could do Bailu or luocha if you have them. This team is more skill point friendly if you use optimally, in my opinion, with Pela doing AoE, defense dread, and healing sustainability to keep the team alive. You have team 2, Kafka, Sampo, and Luka, Pela, and Fire MC, or you can use March or Japart if you have them. This team is well built to tank a lot and pull aggro away from your dot units. You can also add to the shielders for those who have this Lightcone trend of the universal market, which has a 100% base chance to inflict burn on the enemy that attack warriors, meaning more party time for Kafka and her dots. Honorary team suggestions for those who have them. This team needs to be very careful regarding both rotations and can be strict not only with speed management, but Asta needs full uptime for her ultimate regarding her charge stacks to maximize your Kafka's team attack. So if Asta is E4 or E6, you can surely run this comp to get the most out of your Kafka's damage. Just make sure her build is fire damage orb and energy regen rope at all times. You can also use 2-piece Von Walk and the new Relics set 4-piece Hackerspace with an attack body and speed boots with the Lightcones post on the screen, but they must be S5 to give her the additional energy regen for her full uptime. This comp is basically faster clears and bigger damage. Hopefully this wraps up all you need to know about the Queen of Dots Kafka. Check pins for more details regarding Kafka from the TC sources on Discord as well. If this video helped, be sure to like and subscribe for all your Star Rail discussions and guides. I'll see you guys later. Peace.